show to do today.
The whole new acronym thing drives me effing bananas. Can we call him by his name?
Felger and Mazz on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Tolley's 0-1. Rounded towards short, runner moving up and misplayed by Story. That's going to cost a run. Here comes the throw home. He's going to dive in safely. And all the way down to second goes Simpson on a routine ground ball. And 2-0 Tampa Bay.
We played that because I hope you heard the booze. As Trevor Story, was he even charged with an error on the play?
No.
No, I thought he was.
Well,
I'll double check it.
It might have been an error.
He was, and then he wasn't, and I don't know what the final verdict was.
So the box score has him with the error.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was. Yeah, he ultimately ended up with the one.
So
Yeah.
I don't think it originally was, then they added it or something. But either way, Trevor Story with a killer error. I think that was the third inning. Gives Tampa Bay a 2-0 lead. It was a relatively routine ground ball. It was a fast runner in the box, so he had to, make a scoop and a quick throw. So it would have been a tough play at first, but he lets it go into the outfield. Give up 2 runs, go on to lose the game, 4-1. Red Sox lose again. They lose a series to the Rays. Last place, 6 games under 500. Trevor Story gets booed off the field. Gets booed several times yesterday at Fenway. And so let's just do a little check-in here on the Red Sox on a reentry Monday. And I can already tell this has gone right up Mazz's ass. So why don't we do this? It's time for what's crawling up Mazz's ass. Brought to you by North Shore Adult Diapers. In all seriousness, I'm not joking. People shouldn't be afraid to get the help they need. And for many store brands, don't get the job done. So switch to the MVP of adult diapers, North Shore, for even the heaviest control problems like the Red Sox have had all season long. Visit NorthShore.com today and focus on life, not leaks. Maz, your thoughts on Trevor Story?
Okay, so if the Red Sox are going to be what they are, which is a suck team that's now in 6th place for the number 1 pick. Okay, 6th place. 2 games behind for the number 1 pick. Why is Trevor Story still at shortstop? What are we doing? So I'm sure they don't want to wave the white flag over there yet, but you realize that he ranks among the worst shortstops in Major League Baseball in everything. Everything. Fielding, offense, plate discipline, you name it. He's near the bottom. He's either 25th out of 26 in WAR, walk-to-hit ratio, OPS, or he's in the bottom 5 or 6 in errors and overall defensive rating according to Fangraphs. He blows at everything. Really, he sucks. So what's he doing out there when you've got Marcelo Meyer at second base? The point is, sooner or later, the Red Sox are going to have to make a decision whether or not they need to start actually developing some of their young players or just letting them stand there with their thumbs up their ass, which is what they're basically doing to Meyer, and I'm exaggerating a little because obviously he's still on the field. But you get the idea. What is Story giving them right now?
Nothing, and never mind the fact he's not a leader. And when they fired Cora, he stood there like a Karen saying, I need to speak to upper management about this. He's just bad for the room, too. So can't hit, can't throw, can't field, sucks as a leader. And bitches, see you later. Get this guy out of here.
Well, this is so we're not quite at Memorial Day, which is like the true signpost, but it's Mother's Day. It's 40 games, roughly?
Basically, yep, just under.
Yeah, they're at 40 games, 17 and 23.
Exactly 40 now. Good.
Exactly 40 games, which is a time to do a little check-in.
Yep.
Trevor Story, with the most at-bats on the team, batting 200. Jarren Duran, again, I know he's complaining about playing time, but he has the 3rd most at-bats on the team, 194. Caleb Durbin, 173. Those are old-school batting averages. What are you doing with all 3 of those guys? And what kind of season are you going to have? What are you trending for? And what is the point of these guys? If they're not the future, why are you playing them in the present for them to hit under 200 across the board?
Correct. Excellent question by you.
So, and in terms of Trevor Story and Durbin for that matter, you're blocking a future piece, which is Marcelo Meyer. And, certainly he's playing second, but the left side of the infield is where he projects. And that's where he should be. So, Trevor Story for sure. Caleb Durbin, who's a steady third baseman. He's not hurting you in the field. He makes all the plays he should make. But he just cannot hit. 170. He's hitting 173. He's playing every day now. And Duran's a dink. And Trevor Story's a dink. These guys. Never mind they're black. So what are they doing with those guys?
Exactly right. Like, it's about time to pull the plug now, is what I'm getting at. And on Story, I doubt they'll eat the contract, at least at this stage. Maybe they will a little bit later in the year. So my guess is the short-term move would be for them to move him to second base and just flip-flop the two. But we are there. And also, when Chad Tracy took over the team, and I was trying to find audio of it, but it apparently doesn't exist, or if it does, it's not online. Okay, Chad Tracy was asked about his infield and the composition of his lineup and infield the day he took over in Baltimore, the day after Alex Cora was fired. He was asked about it and said, well, right now, Story's our shortstop and Myers our second baseman. Right now. Clearly opening the door for them to put Meyer at short if and when the time came. It's here. I think it's here now. I don't think this is going to change. Tampa Bay is what the Red Sox want to be. They pitch really well. They're in the top 5 in the league in pitching. They've got one thumper in the middle of the lineup, and Caminero hit a home run yesterday. They had 2 sacrifice bunts in that game yesterday. 17 on the season. The Red Sox have 3. So Tampa Bay knows what it is. The Rays know who they want to be, and they have executed it and built it. They play hard. They play fundamentally. They have a little bit of power, and they pitch really well. And by doing it the way they do it, they're in first place in the division. Okay, so they know what they want to be. You don't. You don't have a freaking clue.
Well, you want to be them, but you're not smart enough to do it. You don't have the right guys leading you to do it. And I keep saying it's still not in your DNA. That it's not your DNA because it's just not what you've ever been. It's not what you should be. You know you really shouldn't be that. So it doesn't just come naturally to you. And the owner he wants to be the Rays and the Brewers, but he's a little too impulsive and still spends a little too much money. Like, the Tampa Bay Rays or the Brewers don't go and spend on a Ranger Suarez. They don't pursue a big bat in the first place and then feel sort of like they got to make it up to their fans because they lost out on the big bat, so we'll spend $100 million on a pitcher.
They don't give an extension to a Rafael Devers because you got booed.
Right, exactly right. Exactly. They don't get booed. Their fans don't expect anything. So so they can be disciplined. I mean, the Red Sox are still a little too undisciplined because their owner is reactionary and a little rabbit-eared, and you can get to them. And they want to dip their toe in the money waters, but they don't want to spend it anymore. But they'll spend just enough for them not to just, because it just doesn't. To win the way the Rays or the Brewers do, you have to just be that. And they can't quite be that. It's not going to work. And every time like Milwaukee or Tampa comes in here and they're playing the way that they can play, it's just so stark. All those bunts by Tampa was so wonderful to see.
17 sacrifice bunts. Isn't that great?
Here we are 40 games in. Trevor Story's hitting 200. And he's kind of an a-hole.
55 strikeouts, 7 walks.
Jarren Duran's hitting 194. And he's kind of an a-hole. Caleb Durbin, I don't know if he's an a-hole, but he's hitting 173 and he's playing every day. How can you play someone every day who's hitting 173? How do you do that?
Because he was one of your marquee offseason acquisitions.
Roman Anthony hitting 229 and hurt. Marcelo Meyer, 231 and beefing with the veterans on the team. He didn't play yesterday, right? He didn't play this weekend, but Saturday was a rain out. Right. Yesterday was just a day off, so there's nothing. We're okay on Marcelo Meyer, right? Are they playing tonight?
No, tomorrow.
No, tomorrow, Phillies.
Okay. Is there anything with Marcelo Meyer I should know about?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, not huge.
He hasn't played since Friday, but again, rain out Saturday. There's no at-bats yesterday. They couldn't use a left-handed pinch hitter. No? All right. They ranked 20th in the league in batting average, 27th in runs, 21st in home runs. I'm sorry, 28th in home runs. 21st in hits, 28th in home runs.
Tampa has more home runs than the Red Sox do.
This was just because I'm going through the rankings. In total bases, they ranked 28th, and they're 6 games under 500. The Brewers, in total bases, ranked 30th, dead last, and they're 6 games over 500. How does that happen? The Red Sox are 13th in ERA, meaning 13th best. They're in the top half of the league in team ERA. Doesn't that surprise you?
Yes and no. I mean, when I say yes and no, I look at that as being average. 13 to me is in
I
the middle.
understand.
But, Suarez has pitched well. Connor Learley has pitched well. Chapman has pitched well for them, despite all the speculation on him, and I was one of them. So, I mean, the two guys that have hurt him the most, really three. But, yeah, it's a little surprising because the starters haven't been very good.
Anyway, their OPS, they're 28th in the league in OPS. The strikeouts are better. They're only 15th in the league in strikeouts.
Yeah,
right in the middle of the pack.
No, they hit it. They just don't hit it very hard.
27th in runs, 28th in home runs, 28th in total bases, 28th in OPS.
Mike, that total bases stat, that slugging stat, is important because if you don't hit home runs, but you hit a crap ton of doubles.
Yeah, you can get away with it.
Especially in their ballpark. Fenway Park is typically the biggest doubles producer in the game. They can't even hit doubles at Fenway Park.
This is a good one. The Sox have totaled 56 runs through 19 home games, which is their lowest scoring single season 19-game stretch at Fenway since the Green Monster was constructed in 1934.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
I like the way they put that. 19-game stretch, meaning at any, I don't think that's to start the season. I think that's at any 19-game home stretch. That's the fewest runs they've scored since they built the Green Monster.
Yep.
So bad you got to go back before World War II.
Jesus.
Oh, yeah, no, it's up there.
Why are they playing Trevor Story every day at short? Why is Caleb Durbin continued? Is there nothing in Worcester? Is there nothing, how much longer are you going to go with that? And what kind of season are you looking at here?
Oh, forget the season. Like, to me, I'm already thinking about 2027.
I mean, it's amazing. They're 2 games out of the wild card. But they are 2 games out of last place. There's 6 teams also between them. See, that's why that wild card stat means nothing to me. It means nothing to me. Yeah, they're 2 games out of the wild card. There's 6 teams ahead of them, and they suck. So what good is it being 2 games? So the rest of the league, the rest of the league's back. Yeah, you suck.
What's more real? You watch them, you see what they look like. They're closer to last place and getting the first overall pick.
I mean, I said this at the end of last week on the Baseball Hour. If anyone calls and tells me that they're 2 games out of the wild card, I will immediately hang up on you.
Lifetime ban?
At least a 21-day disabled stint. 21 days
suspension, not a ban. But a suspension.
Yeah, I would, sort of like the steroid thing. I would say 21 days.
You have to ask for reinstatement.
Yeah, basically you got to go to rehab. 21 days. It's a short program. 21 days in rehab to fix your brain from being completely corrupted by the stupidity that's been going on here for 8 years, 7 years, 8 if you count 2019.
Add this to the list of grievances. Right back to your phones after these words.
Gasper at third, Meyer at second. And the 0-1. And a high fly ball into left. Simpson there. And will make the catch, and Tampa Bay wins it. They win it 4-1. They take the series. And on this Mother's Day, no miracle here in 2006.
No, Tolley was okay in this game. 5 innings, gave up the 3. Questionable whether all 3 should have been earned. But offensively, just seemed like you're getting 1 inning, couldn't get that big hit, right? 1 hit an inning, couldn't come up with the big hit throughout. And they just sort of tacked on 1 at a time here in the Rays beat you. So you back off, you enjoy the day off, and you try to win a series against the Phillies.
Final call yesterday on Nesson. As we mix in some Red Sox with our Celtics conversation. Right back to you, as promised. How about Kevin on the Cape on the Red Sox? Go ahead, Kevin.
Hey, you guys were surprised they are 13th in ERA. I believe they've given up the most unearned runs in the league because their defense sucks so bad. So it kind of affects the ERA and fools you into thinking they're better than they are.
Interesting. But their errors are down. I mean, at least their ranking. I don't know about the actual raw number, but, they've been like second to last or they've had the second most errors, rather, in baseball for most of Alex Cora's tenure. They're now up to middle of the pack in terms of errors. So I don't know how that relates to their earned run average, but I was surprised to see that their earned run, their team ERA was 13th, top half of the league.
Yeah, so I just looked up runs versus, unearned runs. And in total runs, they have allowed the 9th fewest in baseball. Okay, so actually the thing doesn't pan out the way the caller wants it to either way. And the defense, if you believe the modern metrics, like the modern metrics had them ranked first in defense in a bunch of areas.
Right now?
At one point recently.
Range factor and
all that kind of bull crap.
Yeah.
Yep. Again, when they actually get, they can cover the ground. It's just what happens when they get there.
How about Eduardo in Newton? Yes, Eduardo.
Hey, I was calling about Mazz saying it's Missoula. JB's comment is American culture. I think it's more Missoula culture. Missoula basically said the same thing as Brown first. He said he feels the same about a championship year as losing in the first round against the Sixers. And then Brown saying this year is his favorite. Bottom line is they're just being programmed to think, or they're not programmed to think it's championship or bust. I mean, they both sound like the same flavor idiot.
Yeah, listen, Eduardo, it's a good point. Of all the franchises, for all I can say about the Celtics, I think they truly are championship-driven. I mean, it's about championships with the Celtics. To come out after bowing out early in the Eastern Conference playoffs for the second straight year at home to a lesser opponent and have the coach carry on about the duality of, it's his comment after the game was such poppycock gobbledygook. I can't even recreate it. Like, I can't even paraphrase it properly.
He said the emptiness that came from losing this series was the same as the emptiness that resulted from winning the championship.
Like, it's just the same. Or Jaylen Brown saying this is the most fun he's ever had. For the Celtics, it's truly about the championships. Like, that is
obnoxious.
It should be offensive to Celtics fans. Both of those comments should be. If I were a Celtic fan, I'd be offended by that.
I think the Missoula one in a lot of ways was worse.
Probably so. The coach should know better, but not this guy. Ted in Warwick. Yes, Ted.
Hi, guys. Listen, somebody's going to answer me this question. How is it that Tampa, as Mazz just railed about, is on top of the league at about $45 million in payroll, and the Red Sox probably will finish last at $250 million, according to Google. So the disparity there is obvious. $250 million for a last-place team and $43 million for maybe a first-place team. I've been a Red Sox fan since the 1950s. I'll be 80 years old in July.
Well, you sound good.
I now root for the team that spends the least and makes the most, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how's it so? I mean, you know the answer, Ted. They teach them how to play baseball in Tampa.
Bingo.
Right?
Well, I guess, but you know what? If that's you're probably right. But I mean, if you're teaching people at $250 million and you're teaching people at $45 million, something's wrong.
Oh yeah.
Well, the Rays are also really good, it seems, at trading their minor league prospects for other better prospects. I was under the impression they got that Junior Caminero from their own system. They traded for him with Cleveland for some pitcher that's bounced around the league 6 or 7 times with 6 or 7 teams. They have better nerds and better scouts than the Red Sox do. Fact.
Better nerds, better scouts, and they commit to the way they have to play, which is putting your bat on the ball and not just swinging for the fences and fielding your position. And they almost always have good bullpens. When the Rays are the Rays, like those bullpens.
Excellent.
Are well crafted and all of that. And so they do all the little things.
They do. And I think that the market has something to do with it. I'm not telling you it's a lot or a little. I'm just saying something that when you look at it and you say, the people down there don't expect them to spend money because they can't. And the organization it's a very simple path. They all know that they're not going to spend. It's a given. So here, the whole thing it just can't work in a place like this. People have always theorized that you can't do it in a big, if the Yankees tried to approach it the way the Red Sox did, they wouldn't have Aaron Judge, Garrett Cole, Max Fried. What would they be? I mean, it's like the idea that you can do it in a big market where your fans actually expect something is nuts. It's completely crazy. And since we're on the topic of Caminero, can I just get this off my chest?
Please.
Last year, 45 home runs, 110 RBI, 846 OPS. He was 21 years old. Same age that Roman Anthony is this year. Huh. What do you know? Isn't that interesting? Let me just double check that. I gotta double check something here, Murray, just to make sure I'm looking at this right. Roman Anthony this year, actually, I take it back. This is his age 22 season. He turns 22 Wednesday. So now Camaro's now ripping apart the sport in his age 22 season. And Roman Anthony is on the injured list again and has done jack this whole year. 0. So we're going to keep making excuses for him because he's 21 and young, and it's a lot to ask at a young, because Caminero doesn't appear to be having any problem whatsoever in Tampa. So this whole thing of, and look, and I think part of the reason is the way they developed him, the market, all of that, taking into account what type of environment you put him in. And he's not having there's no issue with his age in Tampa Bay. He seems to be doing just fine.
Here's an update from Big Jim Murray, and we're back here on a Reentry Monday. Back to your calls here, as promised, on a Reentry Monday on Felger and Mazz. Here's Jack in Los Angeles. What's up, Jack? Where you been?
Hey, fellas. 2 things really quick. Franklin Arias, right now, AA. He leads all of AA in OPS, and he's a plus defender at shortstop.
Great.
He's slugging 600. I was curious what your thoughts are on Mazz. And the second thing, real quick, I'll hang up. If the Celtics never fired Ime Udoka 4.5, 5 years ago, how many titles do they have? Do they still have 1? Do they have 2? Do they have 0? Thanks, guys.
Okay. They have more than 1. I'll put it to you like that. I think you would have won another one here with a different coach.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm not saying you would have three-peated or anything like that.
They wouldn't get any worse off, I'll tell you that.
Missoula's had 4 years. You got 1 championship. I think with a different coach, you'd have had another one. One of those years. One of those years you would have broken through. You certainly wouldn't have lost to the Heat, Knicks, and Sixers. At home, Game 7, prohibitive favorite.
You'd be a tougher team for sure.
The Arias kid, is that a Red Sox prospect?
It is.
Should he be up here?
No. Well, I mean, honestly, I don't know, but my no is I refuse. I refuse to talk to fans about prospects.
Why?
From right now.
Well, but we can't do one segment saying how come Trevor Story is still in the lineup and Caleb Durbin is still in the lineup and these bums are still in the lineup. And then someone calls and says, well, what about this kid on the farm? And they say, well, we don't want to see him either.
So I'm being a dick. I admit it. No, but the reason is this. How much time did we spend talking about Roman Anthony and Kyle Teal and Marcelo Meyer and Peyton Tolley
Christian
Campbell and Connolly Earl? We spent all this time talking about these guys, and now they're here, and they're supposed to be good. So now we're going to do it again? Now we're going to go to the next wave and say, oh, well, wait till Franklin Arias. You're going to keep taking the cheese like that? I'm not doing that anymore.
Okay.
No. Win with these guys. Figure it out. Sign some veteran guys. Develop them properly. Or don't keep feeding me this effing bull crap about how you're going to build this system and it never comes.
But in the same breath, Trevor Story shouldn't be out there every day.
I agree.
Caleb Durbin shouldn't be out there every day.
But the solution, I guess what I'm saying is
it's time for Jarren Duran.
Yeah, those guys I'm fine with. I'm just telling you that the solution isn't now to start rushing the next wave and all of a sudden putting them in a bad spot where they can't develop. The solution is to go get yourself some real veteran players to put in the lineup and make the environment better for the guys that are here.
Bob in Vermont, go ahead, please.
Yeah, hi. I was wondering if I could talk Trevor Story. How is he progressing now? Is he a good player?
He sucks.
He's regressing.
He regressed. Oh, okay. Because you guys are the pros, so I figured I asked that.
What are you?
Well, no, you've come to the right place. Is he putting us on? I don't know. He blows. The one good year was an aberration. I told you that before the year. So I am the pro. In that case, I am the pro Trevor Story prognosticator. Last year was the aberration. But these dummies, or because they're cheap, they didn't want to move on from him or just stay the course. They went back with him, but he wasn't going to produce like he produced last year, either in terms of games played and or production. And you're seeing it now on production. And he's a dinkus to boot. The way he carried on when Alex Cora was fired, you've got to be kidding me. He did it because he felt he was, getting his playing time taken away because Cora was Cora's pet. Well, the new manager's here, they're still playing him every day, and he still blows. He hit 200 before Cora was fired. He's hitting 200 after Cora was fired.
He's been bad all year, no matter who the manager is.
How about Noah in Kansas City? Yes, Noah.
Yeah, just a quick take on Missoula with the comment of, he feels nothing versus, winning versus not winning. That's the most disrespectful thing I've heard as a Celtics fan from a coach in my lifetime. So I hate him now for that. And with the Red Sox, Jarren Duran just is, him and Story are two of these toxic pieces that there's no way that these young players can progress with learning from these quote unquote veterans. It's just this whole situation with him and Holley is just annoying and no leadership in the clubhouse whatsoever, especially with this crap going on.
Okay, the two things. One, Missoula. I mean, again, a franchise that is all about championships, like Garnett, the competitiveness of Kevin Garnett or Bird or Tommy Heinsohn. You can go deeper into Celtics history, or Russell, who just was the embodiment of winning. The greatest winning stats and winning track record you can have in the history of professional sports. Now you come out, you underachieve 2 straight years. You lose at home in Game 7 to lesser opponents. I say the Knicks was obviously in 6, but you know what I mean. You're losing to lesser opponents early in rounds. And the same franchise that brought you Bill Russell, the ultimate winner in the history of team sports, or a guy like Kevin Garnett or Bird, the coach comes out and says, well, you have to understand the duality of it all. And I think that gets lost a lot of times, that, well, you got to fail to win, or it's a poppycock like that. And I felt the same way winning as I did losing. And your best player that year comes out and says, this is the most fun I ever had. Can you imagine Bill Russ? Bill Russ used to throw up before games.
Right.
He wanted it so bad. The same franchise that brought you that brings you, now your best player says, actually, it's the most fun I ever had. Can you imagine that?
No, I can't.
It's again, McHale with his foot, playing through that. He was never the same again.
Of all franchises, like, for that to be any halfway acceptable is just mind-numbing to me.
Blowing 3-1 for the first time in franchise history, basically 80 years. I had a great time, though. What a year.
It's kind of insulting to the fan base. Really.
I mean,
kind of. It is.
Yeah. It's insulting. Like, it feels the same winning as it does losing.
Meanwhile, if I had told you that Jarren Duran was going to be driven from social media for a take from a certain analyst, and I told you it was lying about injuries and Michael Holley, where would that have been on your bingo card?
Wouldn't have been on it.
It wouldn't have been anywhere near it.
Yeah, wouldn't have been on it at all.
Let's get to that story right after these words, shall we?
I understand why all teams do it, but let's just be honest. All teams lie. They lie about injuries. They just do. Tell me a forthcoming organization in the city when it comes to injuries. They just don't. So when the Red Sox did it, like, why are we doing this? Why are you playing games with us? This is an unnecessary lie. We know you're lying. Stop it. He's day-to-day. No, he's not. And then Chad Tracy doubling down. Oh, this is on the short. He's going to be on the IL in the short hair. No, he's not, Chad. Chad, no, he's not. He's not. I'm rooting for Roman Anthony. I was one of those people who said he's ready to take the next step. Last year, in his limited amount of time with the Red Sox, I said he was their best player. I said this. But Mike and Keith, I got to say, this has to be one of the biggest, so far, this has to be one of the biggest flops that we've seen.
Okay, what's that? It was last Wednesday night. That was me coughing in the background with my head cold. That was Mike Holley on Boston Sports Tonight with, I think, a pretty generic take.
Yeah.
I mean,
teams in town lie about injuries.
Yep.
Which they do.
It was animated and well delivered.
Nope. Flamethrower take, burning up the sports radio landscape with it.
But really not, I think something everyone would agree with. Teams lie about injuries. And around here, maybe it's worse than elsewhere. I don't know. We don't track elsewhere, but certainly something that happens here. And then at the end, as it relates to Roman Anthony, he said he's one of the bigger flops we've seen.
Also true so far, yes. And maybe that turns around. Again, it's 40 games they've played this year, and you see there's potential. But given how this season has started, yes, true about Roman Anthony. Flop so far in 2026.
So that clip, apparently now I'm reading from Awful Announcing, that clip made it to Boston's clubhouse. And outfielder Jarren Duran shared it as an Instagram story with the text above it. Quote, they let people like this on NBC Sports, followed by a clown emoji and the crying laughing emojis. So clown emoji, laughing emoji, laughing emoji. Apparently then, people started pushing back at him. And I don't know what that was, Murray. Were you aware of the nature of the interaction?
Yeah, basically of all people. It'd be one thing if it was you, Mike, or Tony, even myself, people that have said stuff that are legitimately pissed off players or the fan base. But Michael Holley, like I put in the email, and this would be like an NBA player going after Ernie Johnson. Like, they're good dudes.
He's one of the good guys.
Yeah. There's nothing like super controversial coming out of his mouth that's going to really piss a player off. It's Michael Holley. He's been in this market 30 years, basically, and he's not an a-hole. And people recognize that, and rightfully like, look, even if I'm a Red Sox fan and I side with you, Jarren Duran, you're a complete a-hole for this. That's basically what the blowback was.
So he got blowback, and at which point then he shut down his whole Instagram account.
Yeah, wiped the whole thing out.
Do you have a thought on this, Mazz?
Yeah, I think this is what happens when guys like Jarren Duran are put in spots where they're supposed to be leaders. I think this is, he's the last guy you want serving as a leader, but keep going.
Well, there's nowhere to go other than the whole thing kind of blows me away. The whole thing blows me away that would then take him off of the... Well, first of all, my first takeaway is this. Is like, how much time and energy are you spending on your effing phone and on this platform and doing this social media thing? It just feels like that whole thing feels to me exhausting. Like, don't you have enough to do? Dude, you're hitting 194. Like, don't you have enough to work on, enough to worry about other than you finger banging your phone over nothing? And then responding to the responses and then responding to the responses. I'm just going to shut the whole thing down. Over what? Over kind of a nothing burger. Not even that big of a rip job.
No, and really not even close.
I mean, the team wasn't even about you. And calling Roman Anthony a flop to this point is fine. That's a dig. But
it doesn't technically involve you, even if you're trying to stand up for a teammate.
So stand up for a teammate and let your tweet. Then if you think Holley's a clown, then just tweet it or Instagram it and let it stand. But then you can't help but read the responses. And then the response is like that whole bucket of time and energy that you're taking out of your day for that is just, I can't wrap my head around it. How much time and energy out of your day are you taking on that? While you're hitting 194 and your team's in last place. What are you doing? Get a life.
Agreed.
Or get off the internet. So I guess that's what he did. Get off the internet.
Well, at least
won't
publicly.
last.
He's got burner accounts everywhere.
You think
Whether
so?
it be Twitter, Instagram, he's got them. You just don't know them.
I mean, for Pete's sake.
And if not trying to spend time hitting better, as I tweeted about this, maybe you would want to invest more time trying to find that person in Minnesota that yelled what they yelled at you, supposedly.
Oh, interesting question. Have we found that person?
No, it's interesting, huh?
This guy.
That person has not been ID'd?
No. And the Twins also did an investigation, couldn't find anyone, but who knows?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
This guy.
Because not only do they suck,
out.
Out. They're unlikable because of guys like this.
Out.
See, this is my question. What's he still doing here?
What's Trevor Story still doing at shortstop in the lineup every day? What is this guy doing, quote unquote, leading? Because he is, like de facto or by process of elimination, maybe.
A veteran player on the team, yeah.
A veteran and a leader.
I think he is the longest tenured Red Sox. I think.
And Caleb Durbin, I just put on the list because he's hitting 174 and shouldn't be in the big leagues. But he's not the problem that the other two are. Duran and Story, the way Story kind of like, I demand an explanation. Like I'm going to sit after they fired Coris. I need to talk to management about this. Like, dude, you blow. Who are you? I guess that means we just are just asked to show up here and play, and that's it. Yeah, that's what you're asked to do. Yes, that's what you're asked to do. So that attitude combined with his play in Trevor's Story, and this guy too. And what, there might be young guys that actually follow this guy?
Well, so this is the concern to me. The way those clubhouses are built, Veteran guys have a certain amount of juice, certain amount of cachet and presence. They run the room, for lack of a better description. And the Red Sox have this guy setting the standard. This to me is, I don't understand why he's still here. You want to know part of the reason why it's a bad place for young players to develop in? Take a look in the mirror.
It's just
this guy.
To me, what he tweeted wasn't all that egregious, just like what Holley said wasn't all that egregious. But I just, again, think of the time and bandwidth that he's giving it. And it affected him so much, which I guess for you people, but for young people to jump off of social media platforms, like a big deal. Well, like he spent his life on there, I guess. Must have. And so for him to like jump off the thing is like in his world, a pretty significant deal, I would guess. Over what? What are you spending any time on this whatsoever? Have I mentioned you're in last place and you're hitting 194? And you're worried about this crap? What are you doing? Grow up. Or better yet, get lost. Like, why? So, on top of them sucking, they don't have a right mix in that clubhouse. They just don't. There are not enough veterans who know what's what on that team.
No, he's not close. He's not even close. The objective should be to show up, be professional, win games, play winning baseball, focus on the job. They don't do it. It's like the worst. They have a lot of guys on that team who are what I would call small and mid-market players for lots of reasons. They're not wired to play in a place like Boston where everything's going to get scrutinized and analyzed.
That's a nice way. I'd say they're a-holes. Him, Bayo too. Showing up the interim manager.
Good one. I left him
Trevor
out.
Story.
Bayo.
Get these guys out of
Bayo, Story, Duran. What are we really doing with this?
Yeah, exactly. And if you had good leadership, some of those guys might be okay.
Well, he's with the Cubs now.
Yeah, well, that's one of them for sure, Murray. I don't know. I always felt that in a baseball clubhouse, there's a bunch of guys in the middle and there's a few at the bottom and a few at the top. And if the guys at the top take control of the team, they pull you up. Or if they're the right guys. If they're not there, you get dragged down. This team is getting dragged down.
Coming up next, your calls right after a 90-second update, no commercials, and also Felger and Mazz School of Journalism will be in session later on next hour as well, so don't go anywhere.